What's good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy Akil McLeod, and your boy is back from PoshFest 2019. And for those of you that don't know, I was actually a guest speaker at this year's event, and I had a ton of fun. I was able to meet a lot of people, and the crowd I was actually speaking to, we was actually on the main stage. So I was speaking to roughly, I want to say anywhere between 800 to 1,000 people. So that was definitely a really good experience for me. But I definitely did record this event, so I wanted to share this with you guys for those of you that wasn't able to attend this year's event. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi everyone, my name is Camille and I'm a senior manager on the new markets team here at Posh. As you've heard already today, last year we introduced Posh Markets as a way to make it easier for the community to shop, sell, and connect around interests. I'm really excited to have these three masters of new markets with me today, Akil, Tiffany, and Crystal. That's right. Each of whom have used markets to scale their businesses and pave their own unique paths. So, today we're going to talk about strategies for identifying new business opportunities, the challenges of early adoption, because we all know it's not easy, and how to test and scale your business using new markets. So, without further ado, can each of you share how long you've been on Poshmark and how you got started?
Hello everyone, my name is Akil McLeod. I'm at DapperAdvisor on Poshmark, and I've been on Poshmark for about 10 months now. And I got started on Poshmark because I quit my full-time job working in higher education, and I was just looking for new platforms to just sell men's clothing.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Kroger, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. And I'm TD Grable 24 in the app, and Infinity Rain also.
Hi, I'm Crystal Blanchard. My name is at Fashion Deity on Poshmark. I've been on Poshmark about 4 years now, and yeah, 4 years.
I've been on 7 years. Sorry.
Yeah.
And Crystal, where do you work full time?
I work full time for the post office, so I'm one of the great employees, though.
That's right. So when she's not bringing her packages to the post office, she is at the post office.
24/7.
That's right. All right. Well, let's jump right into it. So customer preferences and demand are constantly changing, and it's become more important than ever to keep up with those changes in demand. So Tiffany and Crystal, if we could start first with you, can you talk a little bit about how you've evolved your businesses over time and responded to some changes in demand?
I started selling items out of my closet, and then I would go thrifting, and then I decided to turn it into a boutique. And from there, I started our brand, Infinity Rain, with S Cannon. I'm sure you all know Suzanne. And we started 2 years ago, I think. We started Infinity Rain, and we've also started we've had a plus size, our Skyby Infinity Rain. We started on Poshmark as well, and we just opened our first brick and mortar store last year.
So, yes, that absolutely deserves a round of applause.
I started on Poshmark because I was going to move to LA. So my idea was I wanted to sell all of my clothing and buy new wardrobe. So I found the app, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. But things changed. I wound up staying in New York, and then I went going full-time, I think, on the app 2 years ago. And first I started selling women's clothing, then I expanded into men's, and now I'm doing hair accessories because someone really close to me has cancer, so they lost their hair. And as a woman, having your hair is part of beauty, and I realized a lot of women lose their hair, so I started selling wigs. And sorry, I'm getting like emotional. So it really has evolved my closet because I have a lot of customers who are losing their hair or their hair is thinning out, and they come to me as a way to feel beautiful. So to me, it's become a personal journey, and right now it's my niche, and I'm really proud of it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It definitely sounds like in both of your cases it was a bit of an evolution. Now, Akil, what type of merchandise have you focused on? It seems like from some of our conversations, you really focus on the same customer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So for me, I focus on men's clothing and shoes. So I'm about 90% men's clothing. I do sell some women's shoes and clothing as well, but about 10%, nothing, not much. I really try to hone in on one or two different categories.
Absolutely. And can you share an example of how you lean into new market opportunities around men specifically?
So when I got onto Poshmark, basically when I first started hearing about Poshmark is when they introduced the men's category. So for me, I was already selling men's clothing on other platforms, but I realized that anytime there's something new happening on a platform or a website, that's usually the best time to basically jump in and try to test that new market, because if it's new for them, they're going to be the platform is going to try their best to push that and spread that to their new audience. So I just took advantage of that, and if you guys were to check my closet now, I don't have a ton of listings on there, but because it sells quickly. I'm one of the few people that's selling men's clothing. So a lot of times when people are looking for shoes or men's clothing at a pretty affordable price point, I'm probably one of the first closets they find.
Great. So it sounds like through your evolution and some of the examples you've shared, although these were new areas, you were pretty clear about the customer you were serving. But without a doubt, trying new things comes with some risk. So can you talk a little bit about how, as you were testing some of these new areas, what signals you looked for to know whether or not you should pull back, or better yet, whether or not you should double down?
I know for me personally, I usually go through them. I usually switch markets and see what people are selling to try to keep a competitive edge. And then I also follow fashion trends because I want to stay ahead of the curve. Fashion is usually a year or two ahead of time. So I found that if I follow the trends and have items before other people have them or on the app, it gives me an advantage in sales. And I also use sales reports to monitor what I'm doing and within the app, and it'll tell me if I'm selling as much as I should, or maybe I don't need to restock this item because it's really not moving, if it's a waste of time. And I try to keep a variety in my closet because for me, what I found is that I want people to come to my closet and be able to find one of everything, pretty much. Men's, women's, kids, swimwear, home. So to me, it gives me a higher selling advantage over other people who maybe they only have one specific area. And for me, that's really works because it's showing in my sales report.
How frequently would you engage with your sales report? Like, let's say you just tested out something new. Like, when are you looking for those indicators of performance?
I want to say I do it 3 months, but if it depends on the item. It depends on the item. Generally, I do it 3 months, but if it's an item that's really selling that I notice, like just offhand, I'm like, oh, I sold like 5 of these maybe in a week. So maybe I'll check once a month to see like the exact amount, to see how many I need to order so I can prepare and always keep stock because I don't want to be out of stock, because then a customer will go somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah, what about you?
What was the question again?
So as you're testing new markets or new opportunities broadly, what signals do you look for to know whether or not something's performing well or whether or not you should actually double down?
I guess the best performance indicator for all of us is sales. For me, is if it's selling, how quickly it's selling. So I usually give things about a month before I go in to change anything. I'm somewhat patient, but at the same time, I know that markets change quickly. There's so much more competition now that you kind of have to keep adjusting with the market. So for me, I give things about 30 days. After the first 30 days, I'll either change prices, go and change photographs, might try to switch up my sourcing habits. And yeah, I usually just give things about a month before I make any real changes, but I try to be somewhat patient before I try to change things too quickly.
Absolutely. And so we know sales are the holy grail signal. Are there any other indicators that you look at?
I would say likes and comments is important. One thing lately, what I've been doing when it comes to likes, I'm not going to say that it's super important to me, but if I have a ton of likes on a certain item and I'm not getting offers, basically that lets me know my price is probably too high. People like it, but it's just out of their price range. So I'll give it about 30 days, and then if I'm getting a bunch of likes, I'll go in and lower the price, and then probably send offers to likers to those. Just let people know, like a second indication, like, hey, I lowered my price. If you really want it, the time is now, that type of thing.
Got it. And so we've talked a little bit about the details of when to know and the signals. Tiffany, you have had quite the evolution. So started selling in your closet, launched your boutique, launched a brand, brick and mortar. As you made several of those changes, what were some of the signals you looked for that maybe weren't as straightforward?
I mean, pretty much the same thing that they're saying. What's the question again? I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm really nervous.
We're all family and friends here. It's all good. So even we can talk specifically about Sky. So as you thought about expanding into offering a plus size, talk about the thought process behind that between you and your co-founder.
Well, we knew that plus was a pretty big area for us to move into. So we decided to. Well, we just decided to do it, and I mean, I don't know, y'all. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous.
You're doing great. Is she doing great?
Hey, just because you know business, you're not a public speaker, okay? Just so you know.
Okay. You're doing great. Okay. So I guess switching gears a little bit, with all the opportunities to cater to different interests, which all of you guys have done at different periods of your growth, how do you make sure your brand is still cohesive?
I know, speaking for myself, cohesiveness of your closet is so important, especially if you're utilizing markets and you do want to have one of each market in your closet, like luxury, men's, women's. Because my first thing when all the markets started popping, I got on, it was just women's. And then when men's came, kids came home, I'm like, how am I going to make this work without my closet looking a hot mess? So that's the truth. That's what I thought. But I have a background in styling, so that helped. And what I said to myself is, well, let's tie it all together where your closet has one of everything, but it looks good. So I have cohesiveness. So what I'll do is I'll take swimwear, which is women's fashion, and then I'll have a beach towel. So that's how it ties into home, because people who swim obviously go to the beach and use beach towels. So, and then maybe I'll have a matching outfit for the baby, which is part of the baby's market, and then I'll have something for dad. So that way I have something from every market, but my closet is still cohesive and it also makes sense.
Absolutely. Tiffany, one of the things that we talked about was this idea of trial and error and making sure that you're testing different things until you find your niche. Yeah. How did you know when you found your niche?
I enjoyed thrifting, but it was taking a lot of time to do, take one picture and list it. So I wanted to turn into the boutique stuff so that I could take one picture for 6 items or 12 items. And it actually started to help with sales for me personally.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so, Akil, even though you're doing great, Akil, even though that you focus primarily on men in your closet, do you use certain strategies as you are listing or merchandising to make sure that cohesiveness is still there for you and that your niche is clear?
For me, keeping things cohesive is basically just grouping everything together. So in my closet, I'll put all the men's shirts together, all the women's shirts together, all the shoes in just one. Basically, when you're scrolling through my closet, everything just kind of flows. So that just works for me, and it's easier for me to share it, especially if it's a best in shoes party happening. I can literally just go down to where all my shoes are and just share that one particular section. And if I'm feeling like sharing my whole closet, I'll do that. Usually I do. But if I'm short on time, I can easily just share the shoes and then just keep it moving.
Nice. So getting specifically into how you use markets. So we know that markets help to surface your merchandise to these high intent buyers who are looking for that specific thing. But on a day-to-day, can you share an example of how you use Poshmark as a seller?
For markets, I think I'm really just in predominantly two markets, really: men's clothing and the kick section. But as you were telling me a few minutes ago, in terms of the kick section, and I gotta share this with y'all because I just learned this too. For men's shoes, the price point is $100 or more to put yourself in that kicks market, and for women, it's $50 or more, right? So, with me knowing this information now, it's gonna kind of change my pricing strategy. So, I usually would always price my stuff 99, 89, 79, but now since I know certain shoes to put it in that kicks market and to put it in front of potential buyers, I'll probably price that item that I was pricing at 99. I'll probably price it at 100, just so that it can get in that kicks market category and potentially, get in front of more buyers and make more sales.
Crystal, did you want to add to that?
I go through the markets quite frequently, just because it's easier. If I'm looking for something for luxury, I don't want to have all the markets because then I got to shift through stuff and don't see other stuff. I also use it to check out my competition and see what they're doing because to me it's smart. It's friendly but smart. I mainly just use it for a competitive edge. That's really why I go back and forth.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit or share an example of kind of what you might do if you are doing some market research and using markets as a tool for that?
I'll search for say colors and what's trending to see what other people are doing. That's pretty much it.
Absolutely. So, Tiffany, you guys recently launched a home line, is that right?
Yeah, we did. Well, I guess not a full line, but we started a branch out in our brick and mortar store, and it was great because it was just in time for the home market on Poshmark. So it's kind of been great for us as far as being able to have inventory at the store and be able to have extra and put lots more on Poshmark. So,
and as you guys were thinking about that expansion, how did you pick the styles or figure out hey, this is going to still speak to the existing Infinity Rain customer?
Yeah, with the home goods or just in general?
With home goods.
We kind of just pick what we like our style, and and just kind of go with that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because not everyone's going to like what you like. But you still have to, try to please everybody, but sometimes it doesn't work out.
You are trying. You don't know until you try.
Exactly, you don't know until you try, for sure.
So, obviously we've launched a high number of markets recently. Can you talk a little bit about which market you're most excited about for your business and why? I didn't tell them I was going to ask this question.
Yeah, this is a trick question. I think I'm still just more excited for the men's market because it's still new, it's still growing, it's still a lot of people that are coming to Poshmark, joining almost every day. It's an influx of people. So I'm just excited about that aspect of it because with more people joining the app, more potential customers. And even when the CEO was talking earlier today and he was saying it's 7 million sellers are still buying stuff too. So the more people that come to the app, it's even better. You could still increase your sales.
I know me, I was excited about home and kids. I'm trying to get more into kids because women shop and they shop for their kids. They really don't have a choice. So I want to offer that. I want to expand and offer that. Right now I offer some things, but I want to get heavily more into it. And home I like because to me it can give it a well-rounded feeling, I think as shoppers and sellers, I want people, in my classes specifically, I want people to get a feeling of it's a one-stop shop. I want to beautify you, and I also want you to have things where you can beautify your house. And so maybe you can come and buy a plush blanket or a plush throw, and then you can match that with your making mirror already, and then you have some shoes you got from me. I just want it to be an overall glam effect. So that's the way I run my closet. So I was excited about home because I get to offer that in addition to all the other things that I offer.
Do you notice a increase in sales by having all the different a little bit in each market?
I do. I really when I started because I first started off in women's. I think it's always, when you're a woman, it's easier because you know what you like, and you tend to think if you have great style, people like your style, that it's sellable. But sometimes doesn't always work, and it's just the easiest. So I really like men's clothes, so I expanded in that, even though it was kind of uncomfortable for me. And then I wanted to make money, right? Because that's what we do. We sell on Poshmark to make money. So I started expanding in other areas, and I was like, wow, I would have never thought to do like babies, because why? You know, like I just never thought about it. But I definitely seen, like when I started selling like T-shirts for little kids that were super cute, and then matching mom tees, I seen an increase. And I'm like, wow, why didn't you think of this before? But it was because the market, when it became available, it was because Poshmark brought it to my attention. Really, I wouldn't have thought to do it on my own.
Yeah, it's kind of like with the boutique stuff with Suzanne and I. You know, we kind of not pigeonholed, but we're kind of like in the boutique world. But that's why we try to branch out to the home goods and we would like to eventually go into men's, and we actually just discussed going into baby stuff as well. So maybe on a smaller scale, but that's exciting. Yeah, but that'll be fun because I really want to test out the markets too, like Crystal does, and just see if it's if it's profitable that way too.
Absolutely, and I think you raise another interesting point. Like, as you've expanded into these different markets, do you feel like they've brought in new audiences, or you're just really doubled down on your existing customer base?
No, it's brought in new audiences specifically for me, because I didn't offer any men's items specifically, even though I have a fascination with men's clothing. But I'm a woman, and it's what I'm good at. I used to do styling, so it's very comfortable for me. But when I got into men's, I love menswear. And men's, let me tell you, if you don't have men's in your closet, you're missing out. So I know you're doing good. Yeah. Because men buy full price. They don't offer. Yeah. They don't haggle you. You know, like we'll all haggle, right? I do it too. I put up people's closet, and I'm trying to, make an offer for this low. But I'm not gonna lie, I do it sometimes. But men usually buy full price, which is what I like. So that's why I specifically made sure I was like, I need to get into this market. I need to expand on it. This is working and it's beneficial. And it brought me a new audience base, which was men. Yeah.
Anything else out there? All right. Well, as we wrap up, what's the main piece of advice, rather, that you would give sellers who are looking to expand into new markets, but considering all the risks that might be associated, or just not necessarily wanting to take that leap? What advice would you give them to encourage them to do so?
I would say be yourself. Take your time. Test one market at a time. You don't have to do everything like me or two things. Everything doesn't work for everybody. And if you do one market, say you do kicks, and you realize, even though kick sells really well, you do that and you feel like, I don't really want to photograph this, or it's not my thing. Try babies, because maybe you'll love that. You never know. You can always move on to another market. You're not stuck anywhere. It's your closet. You can do what you want to do because you're the boss.
You're not going to know unless you try. That's pretty much, we've tried things and failed many times, and then we've tried things that were really successful, but you're only going to know that if you actually take a leap. And like she said, you can start off small. Like I started off very small. I was in the dental field for 20 years, and I quit my job. I was scared as hell, and but I took that leap and I think I started with like $1,500. I took a loan, and I was scared to death and went to market. Didn't know what I was doing. Thank goodness Suzanne took me and put me under her wing. But and she is the wind beneath my wings, by the way. No, I'm kidding. But you just have to just try different things and see what sticks. And sometimes, even if you're doing great at something, 6 months down the line, you may not. So you have to kind of, figure out a different way. So.
Yeah, you ladies summed it up. I think the main thing is you just got to jump in there and try it, because if you don't, someone said it earlier, but I'm going to mess up the quote already, but it was something along the lines of you miss every shot you don't take. So it's like you just got to go out there and take the risk. I'm not saying take the risk and quit your job like I did. I'm not saying that. But you definitely... But you definitely just got to take the risk, and you're going to learn as you go. The longer you stick with something, the more you're going to learn, the more your business is going to grow. And in the beginning, it's going to be slow, and you're going to think that it's not working. But just enjoy the process and enjoy those slow you know, those slow victories, those small victories, I should say. I see every day as like a new challenge, and you know, I may have made great sales one day and no sales the next, but then tomorrow I can, you know, kind of recoup from that next day. So just take it one day at a time.
Yeah. And I say just don't compare yourself to anyone else.
Yeah.
Like, be you, do you, and you'll be successful.
Yeah.
If you start comparing yourself to everyone, you start to kind of like psych yourself out, like, oh, they're doing so good and we're not doing good. But if you just stay in your lane, do what makes you happy, you'll succeed if you work hard. I promise.
One more tip too is to, like you
A whole lot
said,
of tips coming out. This is great.
like you said, that's good. One more thing is literally to like just mind your business. I used to be on Instagram a lot, and once I started, clap for that. Yeah.
Clap for that.
Yeah, because once you start to just mind your own business and focus on you,
Yeah.
you realize how much your business will grow.
That's true.
Because I found myself comparing myself to other people in terms of sales, in terms of clothes. I'm like, man,
It's
they're
like you out a little bit. You
Yeah.
start to get depressed, and then you're like, no.
Mind your business.
I agree with that.
You hear that?
Mind your business.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you all for those wonderful insights. I know I certainly learned a lot about leveraging markets as a tool and just thinking about expansion and not being afraid to take the leap. But before we officially wrap up, I have a lightning round set of questions for our panelists, and no, I did not tell them in advance. So I'll give each of you 2 options, and you have to pick the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
All right? So on a typical Friday night, and we know that this is not a typical Friday night, so not tonight, we can find you dressed in Akil, suspenders or sweatpants.
Sweatpants. No reason to wear suspenders on it. Wear them now.
You're at DapperAdvisor.
Very dapper.
No, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I can see that one coming.
Tiffany, jeans or joggers?
Did you say jeans?
Jeans or joggers?
Oh, joggers all the way.
Crystal, sneakers or sandals?
Sandals. I'm not wearing sneakers.
Okay, and last question. Describe your Poshmark closet in 3 words.
Fun, flashy, and fabulous.
Yeah. That's very, very good. I'm just going to copy her. That sounds really good. Sounds really good. I'm going with that. That's what I'm going with.
Love it.
I would say clean, simple, and affordable.
Please join me in thanking these panelists, everyone. Thank you for being such a fun and engaging audience. We hope that you had fun with us tonight. I highly encourage you guys to keep the conversation going with these panelists. They will be around all of PoshFest, and I can tell you catching them one-on-one is truly a delight.
Yes, do that, and I won't be nervous, I promise. Just come up to me.
So lastly, we encourage you to check out the Posh Markets pop-up. If you haven't already, it'll be open all day tomorrow. We also have authentication experts at the luxury station, so make sure to stop by. And that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all very much.
I told you my intentions, baby. Still blame me for things from before. You over being underrated. This lightning's causing thunder lately. So lend a heart with no repayment. My interest rate is lower, ain't it? Decide to auction off a bid.